the 27th of April and I'm currently experiencing noise pollution. And without sounding childish, having to share my experiences of human rights abuses, I find it quite comical that a farmholder being discriminated against since experiencing harms to her child unlawfully separated from her, and the noise pollution and etc. that I'm tolerating is giving cause that isn't valid for a eviction. As a peaceful tenant and as a law-abiding citizen and as a very good mother and as an honest, decent human being, I'm very, very concerned about the mentality regarding the individuals that are corrupting and harming civil society, in the sense of discernment and discretion and such qualities that are usually applied in positive politics. So the noise pollution is quite high, the decibels are quite high, and as a mother who hasn't received the adequate information or the adequate assistance for safeguarding her child, this entire situation just highlights the insanity of this situation. So as a woman of advocacy, as a teacher, without the supports being provided that I'm entitled to, and people in my marital home that shouldn't be in my marital home, and while experiencing this drudgery, I'm highly concerned about how human rights are to be ever defended respectfully in the future when this kind of behaviour is being tolerated and facilitated. So the entire matter of slander that I've experienced since giving birth and the insanity of those that have caused these problems are just unfathomable. The positive politics concept and the concerns I have with regard to the abuses that have occurred isn't very positive in representing progressive politics. So there's obviously begrudgery and regression and spite and malice at play, and unfortunately the illegalities, the wrongdoings, the failings, the malicious mentality is going to be of a negative effect on those that have stolen from my child and I, and that have caused very inexplicable and indefensible harms. So the loud noise, the bad publicity, the slander of my good name, the financial theft, abuse and exploitation, I'm like a broken record, and the refusal of the relevant state agencies to acknowledge my experiences of these wrongdoings is really a huge concern with regard to their function, role and capacity. I'm highly concerned that there isn't the defence required or anticipated or expected in such circumstances. Safeguarding is the objective for any relevant agencies or establishments to safeguard rights, to safeguard the democracy, to safeguard human life and safety. These are not being respected. It's highly offensive that a mother and child and a matrimony would be so highly indiscriminately offended and disrespected without so much as a concern for the consequences. So the negative actions that are unjust and indefensible, that are unjustifiable, and the slander of my good name, and the denial and refusal, all of these factors that are playing a role are a huge concern and preoccupation for sociologists, for psychotherapists, for many professionals that uphold the dignity and integrity and respect that human beings are entitled to, and the effects that it has on society, culture, and heritage. So the offenders against my child and I that have further intentions to offend are not equipping themselves in a positive objective with positive outcomes. The negative occurrences that commenced since I gave birth and that are being exacerbated are not equipping society, and the culprits of this situation, stealing from my fortunes and family, with the progress and developments and achievements or objectives that would be considered suitably safe. The offences have been unjustifiable. The damages to my body and health have been absolutely horrendous, and any further harms while trespassing on my farms of my marriage and my ancestry, and harms to my child. I really hope the Honourable Government sees the light at the end of the tunnel for Maria McElligott and her son with regard to restoration and reunification. My son shouldn't be out of my care, and that he has been endangered as a consequence of being from my care, and the individuals that have caused this awful problem has highlighted an awful insanity and malice in society that doesn't help the representation of anyone in this democracy with no respect for positive politics. I have a huge concern that the democracy's image and representation is now being harmed by those that are not defending my constitutional rights and not defending or protecting the rights of the child, my son, Garrod McElligott, born on the 14th of the 10th, 2015. So there's an issue continuing, as I first explained and relayed in 2017. And I'd appreciate the Honourable Government upholding my constitutional rights and respecting them accordingly as a law-abiding citizen, being wronged due to culprits of treason in this situation that have no entitlements to my child or my matrimonial rights or my fortunes that have been also affected. So this is another upload with regard to noise pollution, homelessness, financial theft, matrimonial desertion, child harm, all those kind of issues, slander of my good name, and the future of the democracy as a consequence of injustice, discrimination, and inequality.